Hello, welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and there are some interesting developments. There are two breaking two new developments that I want to talk about with regards to the war in Iran, and I will also provide some cynical commentary on Mr. Trump administration's now posture towards the United Nations and towards international law. We will talk about that shortly. But first, the big news is that Marco Rubio had a press conference today at the White House, the Secretary of State / National Security Advisor, who is not playing a major role in what should have been his job, which is negotiating with Iran on behalf of the United States. So he has been replaced by Donald Trump's son-in-law and friend Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Anyway, that's besides the point. So Rubio says that Operation Epic Fury is over. I mean, Donald Trump has not formally announced it, but he told that essentially to the Congress, and that's what he's saying. So just listen to what Rubio had to say.
President notified Congress. We're done with that stage of it. Okay, we're now on to this project of freedom. As far as the negotiation is concerned, I think the president.
So let me play it again from the beginning.
I think you're linking it. The operation is over. Epic Fury is the president notified Congress. We're done with that stage of it. Okay, we're now on to this project of freedom. As far as the negotiation is concerned, I think the president's been clear that part of the negotiation process has to be not just the enrichment, but what happens to this material that's buried deep somewhere that they have.
So this is very interesting. Keep in mind, he said that the president has informed the Congress that Epic Fury is over, and we are now working on a different project with the president announced over the week, and which is Project Freedom, which is essentially to enable ships which are stuck in the Persian Gulf to be able to go out, etc. But what's interesting is that wait and see the announcement that Donald Trump made today in the evening, if just 3 or 4 hours after this announcement by Marco Rubio. But there is more. I want you to listen to what Mr. Trump had to say. Watch this video of Donald Trump. This is based on an interview he had given to New York Times.
Use of force. Critics warn the comments could undermine told the New York Times.
So this is an interview that he gave to the New York Times, and you can watch it now and listen to it in just a minute.
President Trump told the New York Times this week that the only limit on his authority is my own morality, my own mind, and that he does not need international law. The remarks, reported by the New...
So this is an important point. Donald Trump said he does not need international law, and the only thing that constrains him is his own personal morality. Otherwise, he's going to do anything and everything. And given the Epstein case and his role in the Epstein case and his role in covering up the Epstein files, so we have a pretty good idea of where Donald Trump's morality is. So only that morality, which will not expose those involved in essentially Epstein files or trafficking of young children for sexual pleasure. So that is Donald Trump's sense of morality, and apparently that is the only thing that restrains him, because he does not need international law. He made a big deal about it. Let me play this part again to you.
President Trump told the New York Times this week that the only limit on his authority is my own morality, my own mind, and that he does not need international law. The remarks, reported by the New York Times and picked up globally by The Guardian and Al Jazeera, come amid U.S. strikes overseas and debate over the use of force. Critics warn the comments could undermine the rules-based international order. And
so basically, the attack that the reason why Donald Trump is saying that Epic Fury is over, because 60 days has passed, and by U.S. law, he is required to go and explain to Congress what he's doing there. And there are War Powers Acts of 1973, which basically says that he can't go on and on endlessly beyond 60 days without authorization or declaration of war by the Congress or authorization of use of force by Congress, which he has neither. So this particular attack on Iran is illegal by both international law and American law. The US Congress did not declare war on Iran. The US Congress has not authorized him to conduct these epic fury operations. So that's one thing. So when he was asked about this, he says, "Oh, that's why I don't need any law or international law, because it's only my morality that constrains him." That's because the reporter pushed and said, "So is there anything that constrains you?" Then he said, "It's only my sense of what is right and what is wrong," is the point he's trying to make. And then guess what our friend Mr. Rubio had to say today.
Continue to be, they pose a threat to our forces. Well, a number of those fast boats have now been targeted.
No, that's not
Very clear. International waterways, he always talks about international law.
This is Rubio today talking about international law.
Because everybody always talks about international law, and this international law on this is very clear. International waterways, no country can control them. There is no international law that allows you to say, I'm going to put mines in an international body of water and I'm going to blow up ships that don't listen to us and try to go through. That's what Iran is doing. This is a criminal act. And someone needs to do something about it. Something needs to be done. It's completely illegal, completely illegitimate, and completely unacceptable. And that's why the United States military is guiding stranded commercial ships safely through the strait and is working to restore freedom of navigation and putting an end to these efforts to hold the global economy hostage.
So it's interesting to hear him say this and then look at this part also that he's talking about.
And will continue to be if they pose a threat to our forces. We'll shoot down. I know a number of those fast boats have now been targeted, and will continue to be if they. I think it's a real test for the UN, right?
Yeah, this is the part also that goes with it.
I think it's a real test for the UN, right? As a function, as something that functions that can solve global problems. What is the purpose of the UN? The UN was supposed to be a place where you could peacefully resolve global conflict. Right now you have a country who is unlawfully, criminally, and illegally taking possession of an international waterway and blowing up commercial vessels and putting mines in the water. I don't know if people appreciate like how outrageous this is, how unacceptable it is that any country would fire and try to sink commercial vessels or put mines in the water. Both of these things are illegal. And so we're going to take it to the UN, and we're going to give it another chance to be a forum in which we're not even asking people like commit troops to the region and help blow up the Iranian boats. All we're asking them to do is to condemn it, to call on Iran to stop blowing ships, to remove these mines, and to allow humanitarian relief to come through, because there's humanitarian aid that's trapped. That's it. This is a very modest request. And if you're telling me that the international community and hundreds of countries cannot rally behind that, then I don't know what the utility of the UN system is, if it can't even solve something as straightforward as that.
So this is pretty cool, isn't it? He wants international law. He wants the UN to intervene and pass a resolution against Iran. And it's like a thief complaining that he has been robbed. So first you commit violations of international law. Netanyahu is a war criminal. There is an arrest warrant for Netanyahu, but he's not arrested. He gets to come in and go out of the United States and enters the White House whenever he wants. You don't respect international law. Not only that, but the United States has imposed sanctions on the judges at the International Criminal Court, at ICC, because they passed this judgment on Netanyahu. So not only do you not respect international law, you try to bully institutions of international law. You don't care. You act outside international law. And then now you suddenly want to turn to the UN. I found that quite hypocritical, to say the least. You know, I mean, saying that American foreign policy is hypocritical is just redundancy. The word American foreign policy should include hypocrisy in itself automatically. But this is something really, really funny, that he feels the need to invoke the UN because he's trying to pass a resolution. To what end? Last time when they tried to get this resolution done that Iran should open the Strait of Hormuz, China and Russia vetoed it. So let us see what really happens with that resolution this time. It is quite possible that China might abstain and Russia might be the only country which might either veto it or also abstain. We'll see what happens, but I don't think Iran is going to respect that particular resolution of the UN, even if it passes, because the UN hasn't condemned the illegal attacks on Iran as a country. The UN has done nothing about the U.S. attacking a school in which about 170 young women, young girls died. The U.S. attacked a Navy ship of Iran's leaving the Indian shore, which was unarmed. So there are lots of violations, and Donald Trump is constantly threatening to destroy civilization, etc., etc. So the list of international legal violations by the U.S. and Israel are so long, it's unbelievable that they would even dare to mention the word international law or international norms or United Nations or Security Council. But nevertheless, that is where we are. So a couple of hours after this, so keep in mind what has happened is first we had a ceasefire. And in that ceasefire, Iran opened the Strait of Hormuz, and if you remember, ships were allowed to go through. And then suddenly Donald Trump escalated and blockaded the Strait of Hormuz. This initiative was done by the U.S. The U.S. violated the spirit of the ceasefire. So the Iranians said blockade is an act of war. And so the Iranians then also basically blockaded the Strait of Hormuz. So even though there is technically still a ceasefire, and Donald Trump says it is a ceasefire until he says it's a ceasefire. So it's the U.S. which instituted a blockade. And then after that, the United States then also imposed this project, the humanitarian project. You saw all of it. I talked about it 2 days ago. A few hours after he launched it. So this is what the U.S. is doing since Monday. That they said they're going to escort ships out of it, and then the Iranians hit UAE, and the Iranians now say we didn't attack UAE, it is the US that attacked, which is kind of weird. But they also attacked the US Navy, they attacked a South Korean tanker, etc. So there's basically, it prompted a lot of us to ask the question, has the ceasefire collapsed? Because there was already missiles and drones flying all around. And then Donald Trump said, okay, this is what he announced just an hour or so ago. This is what he says. Based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, the tremendous military success that we have had during the campaign against the country of Iran, and additionally the fact that great progress has been made towards a complete and final agreement with the representatives of Iran, we have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force and effect, Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed. President Donald J. Trump. So I don't understand it. This is supposed to be a humanitarian project, right? 23,000 sailors are stuck there in the ships. They're not getting food. They have sanitation problems, etc. So they want to get out of the Strait of Hormuz and go home. But they are carrying cargo, and are they going to dump their cargo? No. So if Iran allows all those 2,000 ships to go, then Iran would have probably allowed a month worth of oil and gas to go through the Strait of Hormuz. So the whole purpose of blocking the Strait of Hormuz as far as Iran is concerned, which is to choke the global economy and to punish the world for allowing Donald Trump to attack Iran, would all go down to the waste. So now Donald Trump takes a step forward, further additional hostility, and then takes a step back. So what has happened to the humanitarian concerns? I find it so bizarre that Donald Trump and his supporters continue to support this kind of rubbish, So I don't believe in international law. I don't want international law. And now suddenly he wants international law, and he wants the UN because he can't handle Iran. He wants the whole world to survive. I don't need anybody. I don't need NATO. I don't need Europe. I don't need this. And now he's begging everybody in the world to come and help him keep the Strait of Hormuz open, because he did not listen to us. If he had called me, I would have told him exactly what Iran was going to do. I would have told him that Iran is going to attack all your allies, the Arab allies in the Gulf, especially the United Arab Emirates, and it will block the Strait of Hormuz. I would have told him day one. But he chose to listen to Netanyahu, the guy who made a fool out of Trump. The liar. Netanyahu is a liar. He lied, and Trump even to this day does not understand that he has been played. So much for negotiation, so much for business savvy. You are a fool who has been played as a fool by Netanyahu. That's why you went in there, listened to him, did not listen to your own intelligence, did not listen to Tulsi Gabbard, did not listen to your generals who were all against this. The only people who were for it were Lindsey Graham, the Israel firsters of this country, the Israeli lobby, and Netanyahu. And this guy went in there, this man who claims to be America first. And now he's stuck there because he did not listen to people who care about the US. If he'd asked me, I would have told him, do not do this. This is stupid. There's a reason why Obama didn't do this. There's a reason why Biden didn't do this. Biden, who kept claiming that he has an ironclad support for Israel, he never had ironclad support for anything else in his life except Israel. That is Joe Biden. He tried to pitch this to other presidents, including George W. Bush, who talked a lot about axis of evil. Iran was one of them, but he never did that. Every time we have a Republican president in the office in this century, they have gone to war for Israel. G.W. Bush went into Iraq because of that, and Trump went into Iran because of Israel. So we are now at a very strange situation. Trump wants to get out. He wants the Strait of Hormuz open at whatever cost possible, which means he's going to abandon all his goals. So what happened to this whole idea of we will never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon? Iran hasn't given up its nuclear ambitions. It has not given up the enriched uranium, which it has somewhere. Iran has not given up its ballistic missile program. Iran has not recognized Israel. The regime is the same. It has not changed. And epic fury is over. So how is Donald Trump convincing the Iranians to give up nuclear ambitions? By doing what? By blockading the Strait of Hormuz. They feel that he could have done that without attacking Iran in the first place. And he had done that by imposing more and more and more sanctions. Remember, in 2016, he came and imposed sanctions, prevented anybody from buying oil. India used to buy oil from Iran. It stopped buying, and then it came back again and stopped even further relations. India was investing in a port called Chabahar in Iran. India stopped doing that. The only country that has not abandoned Iran really is, to a great extent, only China. So 90% of Iranians' oil exports go to China. And so the Chinese are the only one who have pushed back against the United States on this issue of buying Iranian oil. So now this is where we are at the moment with the war. Number one, Donald Trump claims that he has withdrawn Project Freedom. So now the sailors, nobody cares about them. They can die or whatever. This is what Rubio was talking about, right? The sailors need the help, etc. So let me just play that part.
I think it's a real test for the UN, right? I think it's a real test for the UN, right? As a function, as something that functions to the condition of an international waterway, and blowing up commercial vessels and putting mines in the water. I don't know if people appreciate like how outrageous this is, how unacceptable it is that any country would fire and try to sink commercial vessels or put mines in the water. Both of these things are illegal. And so we're going to take it to the UN, and we're going to give it another chance to be a forum in which we're not even asking people like commit troops to the region and help blow up the Iranian boats. All we're asking them to do is to condemn it, to call on Iran to stop blowing ships, to remove these mines, and to allow humanitarian relief to come through, because there's humanitarian aid that's trapped. That's it. This is a very...
So now he's giving up that same humanitarian aid in the hope that the negotiations will go through. Let me tell you very clearly, even now I can tell you that Iran is not going to give up its right to enrich uranium. They have tied it to their sovereignty. They have made it a big deal about it. They said the whole purpose of the Islamic Revolution in 1979 was not to surrender to the United States. You know, there are other countries where people surrender. In fact, their heads of states are now called surrender this, surrender that. So they don't want to surrender to Donald Trump's whims and power and influence. So they are not going to give it up now. And they have shown that the society is extremely resilient, and everything that Donald Trump said about Iran was wrong. That Iran's navy is finished, that Iran's military is destroyed, that Iran has no capacity to fight. If that is all true, then why are you not able to simply open the Strait of Hormuz easily? right? And the fact that in the previous war against Iran last year, that Iran's nuclear capabilities were obliterated, that's what Trump told us, obliterated, and now he just says that that's the reason why he's gone there, because he lied the first time to us. I mean, this is not over. Even if the war gets over, the impact, the oil price has been going down. I noticed it's gone down from 114 to about 105, and you can see the stock market going up. But I think the price of gas at the pump has not gone down. So it's very obvious that the gas companies in the US are cheating American citizens. Bernie Sanders had a very interesting tweet. He said, look, when the gas was 105, I think in March, $105 a barrel in March, the gas in the US was around 3.3. And now it's at 105 and it's still at 4.3, $1 more. So yes, Americans are going to be very, very unhappy. Their summer is going to be ruined. And I hope we remember in November what Donald Trump has done. He's trying to get out of this war and is hoping that he can say a lot more lies and fool, because he has realized that there is a segment in the United States, unfortunately, who are absolutely stupid people who vote for him. He has broken every promise he made to his voters, to the MAGA people. No new wars, no regime changes. America first. I will reduce inflation. He did none of that. Absolutely none of that. Not one of those things. The only thing in which he has been successful is in blocking illegal migration across the border. That's it. You know, he said we're going to deport millions. No, there's no deportation going on now. So he betrayed his own voters. He just broke every promise he made, but they are profoundly stupid. They can't even understand that. It's unbelievable. I don't know how. That is the biggest flaw of democracy, really, that everybody who is informed or uninformed, who is knowledgeable and who is not, can vote. So that's one of the biggest weaknesses of democracy, that the eligibility to vote does not include the capacity to know. So many of his supporters just read his tweets and assume that's it. We destroyed the navy of Iran. Great, wow, fantastic, and they're happy. They don't even think through and say, yeah, then what is the problem? If Iran's navy is completely destroyed, then why are the ships not able to go through? If all of Iran's ballistic missile capacity has been destroyed and factories have been destroyed, etc., then what's the problem? The problem is that the administration is lying. Anyway, so we will see what happens tomorrow. The assumption is that the dialogue or the negotiations are going on behind the scenes. So, for example, I didn't see any requests from the Pakistanis about this, but Donald Trump says, based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, so I'm assuming it is some of the Gulf countries, Qatar probably, he is going to stop this humanitarian project of his, which didn't even last 24 hours. All right, so it failed. He's unwilling to acknowledge that the project has failed, because once Iran started shooting at UAE must be screaming and saying, what are you doing? Every time you do something, we are getting hurt. Now Fujairah is on fire right now because the Iranian drone hit it. A boat from South Korea is on fire right now because Iranian missile hit it. So this assumption that the US is going to protect them is invalid. They're not able to do it. So he's saying, oh shit, I did this Project Freedom, and then it has simply escalated. And so he realized that another ship comes. The ships are not going to go because I'm sure the insurance must have just gone through the roof after Iran hit them. No insurance company is going to insure a boat through the Strait of Hormuz unless it's thousands of times, and even then I'm not very sure whether they'll take the chance. So the war is stuck in, he's stuck, Donald Trump is stuck It's like your car getting stuck in ice, and you keep the wheel keeps turning, and you're not able to get out of it. It's not as if things are great for Iran. Iran's economy is suffering. The blockade is also hurting Iran, and there's been a lot of devastation and destruction that has taken place in Iran. But it's amazing how resilient the society has been. There are no protests taking place. There were 3 people that were executed recently. It's not very clear whether they were executed because they were spying for Israel or in the US, or they were protesting. One interesting article published in the Journal of Democracy. It was very interesting. Let me see if I can invite the author to come and talk. So he made an argument that, in order to protest, you need a public place. So, for example, you need a place like Tahrir Square or Taksim Square in Istanbul, or Shaheen Bagh in Delhi, where you can go and protest. So that's how you need a public space to be able to protest. But apparently all public spaces are currently occupied by regime supporters. And so there is no public space for those who want to protest. So it's an interesting argument, quite unique, and never heard from anybody else, but he makes an interesting point. So anyway, thank you for watching Conversations. If you've not already subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with others. I have posted 2 very, very interesting interviews with Ambassador Talmiz Ahmed. One basically talks about OPEC and the fragmentation of GCC. But I also posted another one, which is a shorter one, about the Reforming Diplomacy conference that Dr. Jaishankar and Modi had in the Ministry of External Affairs, and how they're trying to change India's diplomacy. They're clearly recognizing that India's diplomacy after Operation Sindoor has a failure. So they had this big conference. They brought all the ambassadors, 190 ambassadors, to Delhi, and they had this 2 days discussion. So I invited Ambassador Talmiz Ahmed to talk about that. So please watch that video. And then, of course, the video with Mr. Zafar Sareshwala about his meeting with India's National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval. Those are 2 very interesting videos. Please don't forget to watch them. So I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.